Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in. It is evening for me. I have no idea when you guys are watching it, but I just got done with a day of work. I have some very exciting news for you guys and a very exciting video ahead. Something I have been waiting for a very, very long time. Now, for you guys that have been around the channel, one, I apologize for the lack of videos. Honestly, life has just been kind of crazy and YouTube has not been my top priority, but I am telling myself right now and telling you guys that I am going to be pushing hard to start getting a lot more videos back out for you guys. For those of you that have been around for a while, you know that this house behind me is my 1940s farmhouse that I bought, oh gosh, a little over a year and a half ago. And this may seem crazy to some of you guys, but I just moved in last weekend, the day before 4th of July. Finally moved in. There has been a ton of work that has gone into the renovation of the part of the house that I moved into, and it is finally at a point that I moved in, and that means it is time to start renovating the rest of the house. But I'm going to do a video update on that later. That's not the point of this video. To me, honestly, this video is a lot more exciting than what's going on in there. Something I enjoy a whole lot more. Something that I think is really awesome. But, I mean, I do love what's going on in there. To me, this is just a lot cooler. So, I haven't ever given you guys a good property tour of the property that I bought. It is not huge by any means, but enough for me for the time being, and I think it's time to finally show you guys. So I'm going to hop up on the tractor and we're going to go for a little bit of a drive around the property and show you guys what is going on and the gigantic changes that are taking place. Alright guys, threw you up on the head cam. Hopefully you can hear me alright. We're going to hop on the old Kubota and go for a little bit of a drive. Always feels good to leave the chair behind for a little bit, although I forgot my phone, so I should probably grab that. Let me get the tractor warming up here real quick. Purrs like a kitten. Alright guys, so I decided to do a bit of a voiceover for this part, mainly because you just couldn't hear me very well over the tractor. I mean, I was just yelling at you guys, which you guys didn't need to listen to. Essentially, kind of what I was going over with this part is what you're looking at over here is the front orchard on my property. Overall, it was in pretty good shape when I bought the place. It definitely needs a little bit of cleaning up, which we take care of, or start to take care of in this next phase of property work, but the main bit of the work is on the back acreage of the property. As you guys can see, and as I'm pointing out to you guys that you guys can't hear, the back acreage of my property was all planted with Christmas trees. Now, Christmas trees are a really common thing here in Oregon. You see them all over the place. They grow really well out here, and we ship Christmas trees all over the West Coast, if not all over the United States. Now, something that is unfortunately also very common in Oregon is a lot of people, or maybe not a lot, You'll see where people have planted Christmas trees at one point and then they were completely neglected. They were never harvested and they just were allowed to grow wild, which you may think, oh, well, planting trees is great, except when you plant Christmas trees, you're planting them really close together, far closer together than what is healthy for a regular forest. So as you can see on my back property, they are way too close, and you'll see a better look later on in the video, but they are not healthy at all. They are, I mean, there's a lot of dead standing because they've been suffocated, and the ones that are growing in the middle are just super skinny. They don't have a lot of branches on them. They are just suffocating themselves out. Now, when I bought the property, I wasn't positive that these were Christmas trees that were planted because they were a bit unorganized and there were other trees mixed in with them. But since owning the property over the last year, I have 100% confirmed that these were planted with Christmas trees back in the 90s, and they have been let to grow wild ever since. Now, unfortunately, with what comes with growing wild here in Oregon means wild blackberries. And I'm going to show you guys what these wild blackberries look like, but they are one of the nastiest, most annoying plants, and an extremely invasive species of plants here in the Pacific Northwest, and they have completely taken over this forest. So here's what I would consider a medium-sized blackberry vine. As you can see, I am delicately grabbing it because these spines on these things are mean. They will literally tear through your clothing and leave you dripping in blood if you don't respect them. And they are all over in these trees, literally climbing up all the way to the top, hundreds of feet throughout all the trees. They are a brutal species to deal with. Alright, turning off the tractor so hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. Where I'm parked right now is just in the very entry of my woods on my property. And this area all around here is actually a spot that I cleared out roughly last summer. I didn't remove any trees, but I went through and brush hogged everything in here last summer. And as you can see, the blackberries, where there is a little bit of light that can get through, they take over everything. Now, this is actually a pretty good clearing in here. This is probably one of the thinnest spots all the way in my back acreage, except for on the northern side. But as you can see back here, the trees are very dense. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love having my own little forest, I would call it, and I love it, but this is completely unusable land. If you can look back in there, you can see hardly anything is growing on the ground, as opposed to here where you can see it's just blowing up with right now blackberries and some grass. But in there you can see almost nothing grows on the ground because the trees are so close together that now that they're this size, they're blocking out 90% of the light that can make it to the ground and let things grow. Not to mention, I can't drive anything back there. So although it is cool and secluded, the vast majority of my property is completely unusable. And not only is it unusable, but it is extremely unhealthy. They are far too close together. So the goal, going back through my property, I knew when I bought it that I had to do some heavy thinning, and the opportunity arose to get somebody with a big machine down here, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing. So I am very excited. I'm going to drive you back to some of the sections that have already started to be thinned. Some of it along the property lines were really thinning heavy just to get a good border established, but you'll get a good idea of what this is all going to turn into when it's all said and done. It's going to be a incredible transformation over the next couple weeks, and I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try to get it all in one video, but we're going to see. Maybe it'll be an introduction on this video, and the next video you guys will get to see the transformation. But partly I'm doing this video because in 10 years, I want to be able to look back and just see how vast of an improvement this property has made, because right now it's cool, but it's completely unusable. And just kind of documenting this for my own memory's sake of just how far this property is going to go. Alrighty guys, so here's a great example of a section of the property that has already been cleared by the machine. Now this northern side of my property was already a lot thinner. They didn't plant many Christmas trees over on this half of the property. But as you can see, there's actually a pretty good amount of hardwoods. We got a lot of oak there, a lot of oak spread throughout the property, and my goal is to try to save as many of the hardwoods as possible while opening up the property to be thin enough, thin and healthy. So as you can see over here, there's not all that many trees we took out so far. Only a handful of trees in this section, really to open it up. And as you can see of the wall of vegetation you can see there, I mean, I could put $1 million on the other side of that wall of vegetation, and there's not anybody on this planet that could walk straight through that without some sort of machete or machinery. And even so, they're going to get scratched up bad. Blackberries are gnarly. That really is just a dense wall. And it's not healthy. Not only is it not healthy, but it's a huge, huge fire danger on the property. As you guys could imagine, if a fire rolls through here, it'll burn stuff on the ground, and that area needs to be trimmed down some, but it'll just roll through on the ground. But as you guys could guess, if a fire gets into that, it is burning everything in its path. There won't be a single thing left if a fire were to roll through here. And so not only am I trying to make this property more useful, but just to be able to save it just in case a fire comes through, there's not a single thing I could do except watch my entire property burn if a fire was to get into that. And so clearing it out, these trees are going to just explode with how much more sunlight and water they're going to get, and it'll just be a whole lot healthier. So this is the first section of my property that I've seen cleared so far, and it is absolutely incredible to go from something like that to this. So I'm going to fire the tractor back up, and we're going to keep working our way around. All right, guys, so here we are at the back of my property, and here is a great example of what healthy Christmas trees are supposed to look like. As you guys can imagine, these ones are still in their spring growth that hasn't been trimmed off yet, which is why they're a little extra fluffy. But that is what Christmas Tree Farm looks like, and it goes on way beyond where you guys can see. Very nice, very maintained, very healthy. Over the course of this summer, it will be trimmed down, the grass will be cut. A very, very healthy property, and in not too long, these will be getting cut down, and the property will either be used for something else or trees will get replanted. Now, that's what my property started as, probably 20 to 25 years ago, and that is what it has turned into. It has been completely neglected, untouched, unmaintained, and it is incredibly, incredibly unhealthy. Now you'll see in a lot of these sections on the perimeters of my property, we're clearing a wide strip so I can put up new fences and
allow it to be more maintainable. And so these sections will be more clear than it will be in some areas. But the main goal of that is to be able to actually maintain the property boundaries, which is it's important, especially when you have neighbors that have livestock. And when I want to get livestock, you need to be able to maintain your fence lines. All right, so this is, I suppose, the farthest he's gotten so far. This is my other property boundary. As you can see, we've taken out a few more trees over here and opened it up to be a lot more healthy. Again, we're trying to leave the hardwoods. The goal is to leave a lot of the hardwoods and oaks, which most of the hardwoods around here are oaks. But then when it comes to tree spacing, space them out to a point where they're actually able to grow and expand. You can see just how thin and unhealthy these trees look, and that's because they've been so tight in here that they haven't been able to get the sun and nutrients that they need to really grow well. So although these trees look a little rough right now, having it get opened up and cleared should open up things and let them grow so much better. So this is my back property boundary. Again, I've never been over here before because this path that you see right here was completely impassable, 100% impassable. So it's pretty awesome. Obviously, I think I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees over here, maybe 7 trees out of this whole grove that's been taken out. And you can see just how thick it is behind that machine. Without taking out any of those trees, nobody could walk through it, nobody could drive through it. Literally the only way to get through that is to remove some trees. And so that's what we're doing.
unfortunate that I even need to make this message. Yes, that is a giant pile of garbage and metal and mattresses. You can see an old sink in there. I mean, it is just garbage. The previous owner, I don't know if it was her or people they had working for her, they left a big pile of garbage back in these trees. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the reasoning is, but now it is my problem. I would give the advice to myself and to everybody else. Don't bury junk like this. Don't think that out of sight, out of mind is the right way to treat things. It may not be your problem, but it will be somebody's problem. I don't know, just leave things better than when you found them. Leave the world a better place. Stop pushing off problems onto somebody else. That's all. I think I needed to address this. We'll get back to the video. Now, when I bought this property, it had a relatively good asphalt driveway that I am very happy to have. But it is very, very clear that when, or whoever designed and put in this asphalt driveway, they did not drive trucks, at least not full-size trucks, because it is very, very tight. Now, this was kind of a tough thing to do. I really liked those trees next to the driveway, but there was no way around them, no good way around them of making more space in the driveway. And so something that needed to be done was we're taking them out, and we are making a huge driveway expansion, as well as the long awaited pad for the shop that I have talked about for so long. Quite the change. You guys will get a better look at it later on, but we have completely expanded the driveway and cleared the pad for the future shop. And I lost an arm and a leg to the gravel trucks bringing in gravel, but man, oh man, did it make a huge difference in the back driveway. Well, alrighty guys, we are going to finish off this video with another voiceover and a tour around the property to show you everything we got done. So I'm going to try to work in as many before and after pictures as I can so you guys can get a good idea of how much things have actually changed. So here's the first one on the front fence line before and after. It went from completely impassable to fully usable. I could drive my entire pickup through there if I really wanted to. A big difference up front. We're going to work our way around the property on the tractor. A lot of the stuff you've seen, some of it you haven't, so I'm going to kind of splice together the video so it's not too long for you guys, but you guys can at least see all the work that got done. So coming up around here, not a whole lot has changed except for the fact that now you guys can actually see the pile of trees that we took out. Now some of them were too small to be worth saving and they're going into burn piles. But as you can see, there's going to be plenty of firewood processing in my future. Hopefully sometime later this summer we can get enough processed for this next winter and the one beyond that. Other than that though, not a whole lot has changed up here, so I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit and let you guys see the back of the property on the other side where there is some huge changes from where you saw it last. So here we are working our way around the back corner of the property. You guys have seen this before, but it looks quite a bit different from when you last saw it. I really wish I had a picture of what this looked like in its very initial stages, because it was completely impassable beyond like 20 yards from here. It was a solid wall of trees and blackberries, and now as you can see it is just about ready for fence, and I can't tell you how good it feels and how good it looks in person to see this all opened up. So here's what it looked like last time you guys saw it versus how it is now. I really hope the video does this justice for you guys, because in person this is a humongous difference. Now we're working our way around the other back corner of the property, and as you can see, there is quite a burn pile waiting to get burned this winter once things are a little more wet. I don't feel like burning down my property, so we're going to wait until things are good and wet before I decide to burn any of these piles. You can see a few more of the trees that we have left to clean up in this back corner, but overall the majority of the heavy lifting back here is done. Now as we're kind of working along this edge of the property, you'll get a really good example of how unhealthy these trees were because of how tightly packed they are. As we're looking over here at the trees on the right that were more hidden within the forest or within the trees, you can see just how weak and fragile they look. Up at the top they got growth and they're green, but down where it's been hidden from sunlight for so long, you can just see how dead and dying they look. That is why it is so important and why I am so eager to get this stuff thinned out. The trees that are remaining will begin to grow so much healthier, so much faster, and so much thicker. It'll just be a much healthier forest and wooded area. So this view is the before from the front of the orchard. There was a lot of these bushes and shrubs that were actually old hazelnut trees that had been cut down, that were really kind of just cluttering everything up, and that whole big jumble of trees right there is actually 3 apple trees with 1 tree in the middle that has completely taken over all of them. So we went from that to this, which is a little tricky to see because it was starting to get dark, but you can see the 3 individual apple trees, and a lot of those bushes / trees are taken out, and we're left with all the oaks and the different fruit trees that are going to be growing much healthier and much happier, and everything just looks more cleaned up. So on the way back to show you guys the driveway, I couldn't help myself. I decided I wanted an apple, so I picked the most ripe one that I could find. You'll have to take my word for it, but it was, although a little underripe, delicious. So as we're working our way back to the driveway, I'll give a little bit of explanation. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the driveway itself, when it was built, or at least paved, was paved with asphalt, and it's good, but it was really tight. You were pretty tight to try to fit 2 full-size trucks in there, and between me and family and friends, there are trucks here all the time. Not to mention trying to pull in a full-size truck and trailer. That was a nightmare and a pain in the butt to do. So we ended up pulling the trees out that were right next to the driveway and pushing the driveway out another 20 feet, which will then turn into the driveway leading into the shop. The plans are to build a shop to the right of the garage that you see there in front of the Jeep. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but that is a full 40 by 60 shop pad that we have cleared out. Of course, the sun is going to make this shot a little bit darker than it should have been, but it is what it is. You can see here on the left side of the driveway, we widened the driveway coming in, which makes a big difference, and we made a big parking pad for anybody that's coming in. So it was a little hard to rip out all the grass right around the house and the few trees that were back there, but I can't tell you how big of a difference it feels being in the back driveway now. It went from feeling really tight and claustrophobic to feeling big and open and actually usable. So it was absolutely the right decision to make. And down the road, we left these oak trees here because we wanted them there to grow, become shade trees, and the grass around here will regrow and be nice enough. But I am very excited to finally have the driveway opened up, and of course the big shop pad is finally in place and becoming real. Well, I think it is finally time to wrap up this video. I know it has been a pretty long one, so if you guys are still here, I really appreciate you guys watching it. Of course, if you guys enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button down below. Helps me out a ton, helps the channel out a ton. I would appreciate it. As always, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel and you are interested in seeing more of this kind of stuff, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I would love to share the journey with you guys. This is a huge step in the right direction for this property, but there is a lot more work to be done. I got some big aspirations for this place that I am excited to be sharing with you guys. So if you guys haven't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. I would love to have you guys tag along. To close out this video, I'm actually sitting here at my desk editing and recording this voiceover, and of course I'm watching the video, and I can't help but feel incredibly grateful for all the different people, friends and family that came down to help out with this project in little ways and in big ways, whether it's for a few hours a day or a few days. I just wanted to give you guys a huge thank you. The amount of work that you guys helped get done would have taken me months, if not years, to get done on my own. So a huge thank you to you guys. Now with that, this video is definitely long enough. I'm going to end this here, leave you guys with a little bit of a sunset. If you guys made it this far, thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the next video.